Hey, Lake Point, Pastor Michael here to get you caught up on the first week of our series, The Upside Down Kingdom, Part 3. Now, throughout it, we're zeroing in on the Lord's Prayer. It's the most prayed prayer in the history of the human race. It has been prayed in more languages, across more continents, and in more cultures and civilizations than any other prayer. First century Christians prayed it 3 times a day, every day. If you're not familiar with it, it goes like this. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we also forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. This prayer is found twice in the New Testament, both in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 6 and again in Luke 11. Now, this week, Pastor Nate focused on unpacking the first line, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. You see, Father in Jesus' day was a revolutionary way to address God. In fact, there was no evidence of anyone before Jesus using the term to address God, not a single example in all of Jewish literature. In the Old Testament, there are only 15 references to God as the Father of Israel, the nation, but Jews would never call God Father as it was considered way too intimate. But for Jesus, it's his go-to name for God. In all but one instance in the New Testament, he refers to God as Father when he prays. Jesus uses the word Abba to describe God, which is an Aramaic word that's much more intimate than any Greek or Hebrew word. In doing so, Jesus pulls prayer out of the realm of the religious and into the realm of the relational, prioritizing intimacy over formality, and demonstrating that we can know God as our Father. Now, an important thing to know is that in ancient Greek, word order matters. It was a way to highlight or emphasize something in a sentence. They didn't have exclamation marks or bold lettering, so word order did the trick. And the word representing the most important thought or concept would be placed first in the sentence. The word order in the Greek version of the Lord's Prayer places Father first. And so when we translate Greek into English, we adjust the words for ease and flow of speech, but in the original Greek, it was Abba, it was Father of us. By doing this, Jesus is saying that the most important thing to get right when it comes to God is to understand him as a loving Father. And as Nate highlighted, Jesus does not say God is like a father, but that God is our Father. It wasn't as if Jesus was looking for a human analogy to describe God's love and care for us and thought, hey, I know humans are organized into families and children have fathers. I'll use that. No, Jesus is saying God as Father came first, and he created human relationships to reflect this divine connection we can have with God. A lot of folks are tempted to dismiss the idea of God as Father because they had a poor experience with their own dad. But Jesus says, don't do this, because knowing God as a Father is actually foundational to having a relationship with him. AKA, you can't really know God without knowing him as Father. As one scholar puts it, our experience of fatherhood should help us define God. Rather, our experience of God should help us define the entire enterprise of fatherhood. In other words, the remedy for a bad father is not the removal of any father figure at all. It is the gift of God as a good father. Listen to what he goes on to say. He says, in the order of meaning, our earthly fatherhood is defined by God, not the other way around. If we've had a great earthly father, wonderful. If we've had a bad earthly father, then all the more reason to be reparented by God himself, our original and defining Father. Now, what's interesting is how Jesus refers to God as our Father. Every pronoun referring to humans in the prayer is plural. Jesus doesn't teach us to pray my Father, he says our Father. Why? Because praying our Father is a declaration of our membership in God's family, a family that transcends nationality, ethnicity, gender, and culture. It's a reminder that we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. That's God's kingdom. That God's kingdom is global, and that there's no place for classism, nationalism, racism, sexism, ageism, or any other ism in his family. Jesus goes on to say, our Father in heaven. Now, heaven is a tricky word because in English, when most people read heaven, they think of a place that you go to when you die. And while there is truth in that, in Greek, the word is actually plural, the heavens. Why? Because in the ancient world, they thought of different levels of the heavens. There was the atmosphere up where the stars were, the universe. There was the sky above our heads where, birds fly. And there was the air right around us. It's why some translations read, our Father in the air, or our Father in the skies, or our Father in the heavens. And it speaks to the everywhere-ness of God, his omnipresence. Jesus is teaching his disciples that our Father is not far off, but actually close and personal. AKA, when God speaks, it's not some booming voice shouting from the clouds, it's an intimate and gentle voice whispering from within us. Jesus goes on to say, "Hallowed be your name." Now, what does the word hallowed mean? It's a word we rarely ever use anymore in everyday English, and we don't quite have an equivalent. To hallow something means to treat it as sacred and ultimate, to revere it, to be captivated by its supreme beauty to the point where we want the whole world to know about it. Timothy Keller, one of the greatest minds of our generation, defined it this way. He says, to hallow God's name is to have a heart of grateful joy towards God, and even more, a wondrous sense of his beauty. Anglican theologian N.T. Wright translate "hallowed be your name" this way: may you be worshipped by your whole creation. May the whole cosmos resound with your praise. May the whole world be freed from injustice, disfigurement, sin, and death. And so what we have here is, in this passage, Jesus revering the Father. Think about how different his approach to prayer is from our own. Often our approach to prayer is to request things from God that we feel we need in order to be happy. This is one of the reasons we tend to pray mostly when our relationships, fiancés, finances, or our life circumstances are under threat. And that's fine, but as Nate pointed out, it's also a gentle sign from our own heart that for most of us, we are still searching for happiness outside of God. For most of us, God himself has yet to become our happiness. But for Jesus, the first goal of prayer is just to enter into the beauty of God. And when you do that, you can't help but desire the world around you to experience that same beauty. It's as if you're saying, God, we want your name, which speaks to your character, your abilities, your glory, your fame, your reputation, who you are and what you are like. We want it to be manifested, revealed, made known in all the world. It's caring more about God's name being lifted up than our own. And that's a beautiful thing. Well, friends, thanks for listening. Enjoy jumping into the discussion questions. I look forward to exploring more of this incredible ancient prayer next week.